Thank you for staying around. We had presented this shortly after 6, and we're going to do a very similar one. Although there's going to be a couple of extra comments by me that we'll be looking forward to. As John said in the first one, this is the preparation of the comprehensive plan for the city of Frisco. It's going to help your elected officials and your appointed officials making better and more concise decisions about the future of Frisco. So it's a very important process. Frisco has a very long history of planning that dates back to the early 80s, and so this is a continuation of that. This is the basic agenda that we've gone through tonight. We're talking a little bit about the welcome right here. Daniel's going to talk a little bit about planning 101. We did a little project overview to tell you a little bit about the overall project and where we are on it, our guiding principles and how they relate to the board exercise. So that's what's going to go on. This is our team, Daniel Harrison, Erica, we're here, me, Connor, and Jacob Rojas is here. Larry is back there. The other two, Jason and Marty, they're going to be here at future meetings. So there's some staff people here that you can talk and visit with, and so we're all available here in the open house. We hold these in a more informal way so we can interact with you on a one-on-one personal basis. I did an analogy at the first one, and now you use another analogy too. But the analogy that I like to use is that what we're doing is like a puzzle. You get a jigsaw puzzle or a puzzle that's at Christmas time, and it's got 1,000 pieces. And so the first thing you do is you take the box and you open it up, and you spread all those pieces out on your kitchen table. The second thing you do is you put the top of that box up that has the picture on it. And then you start to put the puzzle together. We're doing the same thing here. But just think, if you didn't have the picture on top of that box and the picture of that puzzle, what if you didn't have that? You could still put the puzzle together, but it'd be a lot harder. Same thing here. If the city doesn't have a comprehensive plan, it's still going to exist, but the decisions that your elected officials make are going to be a lot harder. A plan, where you're going, makes it easier to see where the long-term vision is in the community. So, having a picture of where you're going allows the city, as each piece of property develops, it allows that city to be able to make better choices about how all those pieces fit together. So that's the analogy. Now, I have one more before I turn it over to Daniel. There was a famous baseball player called Yogi Berra. He's passed away. He played for the New York Yankees. And he had a saying, he says, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else. So that's what we're doing. If we don't have a comprehensive plan that says where Frisco's going, we might not end up where we want to. And so that's why we engage in planning. Daniel's going to talk a little bit more about that. But that helps guide our vision and our desires. I think Frisco's has a lot of benefits that you can all look around the city of what the past planning has done. They've done planning and done plans about every 5 or 10 years, and you can see the success that they've had with it. You can look around at the cities that do planning and see their successes. So it's cumulative and it works. So, Daniel, why don't you tell them about the schedule and some other facts.
All right, thanks, Dan. Well, once again, thank you for coming out tonight, and I want to walk you through the project and what we have involved. Up here is the project schedule, and we've been working with our Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. We have about 24, 25 members on our Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. We have met with the council to do some initial visioning to help us develop the guiding principles that you see over here. And what we are tonight is, you see in that number 3, the open house. And so we've come up with guiding principles, and these are going to be important for the plan because they're going to help us as we develop goals and strategies, and really the recommendations of the plan. We're going to look back at these guiding principles and say, okay, we've had a lot of input. Are these goals, are these recommendations fulfilling our guiding principles? So they're going to help keep us on track as this plan is developed. So after tonight, we're going to take the input we received from the public. We're going to show that to the Conference Plan Advisory Committee. We're going to draft goals for the plan. Then we are going to take those goals and develop full chapters. So those will be full chapters that people can see. What we will do with that is we'll take the draft, once we get the comprehensive plan drafted, the first draft, we'll take that to the council so they can give their thumbs up and so they get to see that. And then we'll have another open house where, similar to what we're doing tonight, people can come out and provide their input on that draft comprehensive plan. What we'll do after that second open house is we'll go back to the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, tell them here's the additional input that we got from the public so we can make revisions to the comprehensive plan and make sure we're in alignment. Because as we do this planning, we want to be in alignment with the public input that we hear from the public at a meeting like this, from our advisory committee, and also from the input that we receive from the council. So when we're looking at moving forward at the end of the project, it gets recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission and adopted by the council. And so we're looking for adoption at October, November of next year. So it's roughly an 18-month process. There's a website, there's a QR code here. Don't worry if you don't get this, it's on all the boards, but I'll leave this up here in case you'd like to get it right now. It will take you to the website. Just so you know, if you have a neighbor or a relative or a friend who was not able to make it tonight, you can direct them to the QR code and to the website, and it's open for 2 weeks, so they can provide their input just like we're doing tonight for the next 2 weeks until September 7th, Thursday, September 7th. So a little bit about Planning 101. So what is the comprehensive plan, as Dan was saying with his different analogies? We're really trying to look at where do we envision ourselves as a city in the next 10 to 20 years? What do we want to look like? And so it's going to be a helpful guide for not only the council and the P&Z, but your city staff, citizens who are interested about, hey, what's going on in this part of town? What do we envision that this area is going to be in the next 10 to 20 years? And we want to make clear the plan is really the vision document. You'll hear about zoning because everyone's land is currently zoned something. So what we're doing right now is not talking about zoning or changing zoning or what the zoning is. So sometimes there's a little confusion between the comprehensive plan because we will have a map of the city that will show land use categories and what the vision is, but it's not the zoning map, and we're not changing zoning. So another quote that we have for you, good fortune is what happens when opportunity meets planning, from Thomas Edison. Once again, we have a strong history of planning in Frisco, and we want to continue that planning to look out into the future and be proactive. Yes, development is happening here, and there's economic development forces always in play throughout the country. While we can't control all those completely, we can help manage it and how that reflects in our city. So one thing we have here is, how is the plan used? Of course, we have the city council, our elected volunteers who are serving the city, and what is their purpose of the city council? It's to make decisions for the community as a whole, because we all can't go down to City Hall and vote on every agenda item at a council meeting. So the important thing to know is, how does the council make their decisions? Because each of these volunteers, each of the council members want to make the most informed decision that they can. So they're going to look at, let's say a zoning case is coming before the council, they're going to look at the comprehensive plan. They're going to say, well, what does this area envision to be? Well, what's the areas around it next to this area envisioned to be? So those are important things, and it's a foundational document, but it's not the only thing. They'll have a P&Z recommendation, so they'll have a report from them. They have information from staff who look at the different plans and policies in the city. Public meetings, that's another source of input that the council will consider, having a meeting like this tonight. And that's really how the council is going to try to make those most informed decisions that they can. And so with that, they'll make zoning decisions, subdivision-related decisions, other type of decisions based upon comprehensive plan and other sources of input. So what is in the comprehensive plan? We have different chapters. Our first chapter is a community snapshot, so it'll have interesting facts and figures that you may want to know about the city. These guiding principles, these boards that we have here, those will be in the plan to sort of help everyone know these are the things that we want guiding our development. Then we'll get into our recommendation chapters. Number 3, the housing and neighborhoods, we'll have a chapter addressing that, and economic development, future land uses, that's where we'll have an updated future land use map, transportation, community facilities and services, and our very last chapter is implementation. How do we wrap all these different things into a nice matrix where we can see we want to go ahead and achieve this goal by this time, and so how do we make sure that we're having progress? And these are things that we address in the implementation. So I've already sort of touched on the guiding principles. They have input from our Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, the council input to help us draft these. Of course, the meeting tonight to help us say, get feedback on these draft guiding principles, and the guiding principles once again will help us write goals and strategies to achieve these goals. We have 5 guiding principles. They are culture and people, development and design, housing and community, jobs and finance, and regionalism and influence. So what we'll do is, there's really 3 sets of boards. The boards that you passed outside the room, which are a little bit more informational. We do have one out there that talks about what do you love about Frisco, what would you change. If you haven't had a chance to go put your post-it note on that, we'd appreciate that. But then we'll have our guiding principle boards. These are the ones that are faced the other way. And if you could provide your comments on that, once again, we'll be standing by these boards. So if you have any questions while you're filling these out, please let Dan, or myself, or Erica, or Jacob, or Connor know, who is outside. We also have the boards on the far side of the room. Those are the chapter boards. And so we'll ask you questions about land uses and facilities, those type of information, and you can put your post-it notes on that. So with that, there's really no formal close to the meeting, except for the meeting goes till 8 o'clock, but there's no wrap-up presentation or anything. The way that this has really been designed is just a come-and-go meeting. We had a presentation at around 6:15, and then this same presentation here starting at 7. So we'll be hanging around the board, so please just make your way down the 2 rows here for these boards, and please put your thoughts down, and like I said, we'll be there to answer any questions that you may have. So thank you very much.